If ICE shows up at your door tomorrow morning, the next 60 seconds could determine whether or not you get to stay with your family or you get deported. Every week, families across America are actually separated simply because they didn't know their rights. ICE is showing up at homes, workplaces, and even school, often without warning and always hoping that you make a mistake. And the problem is that most people, they have no idea what their rights are or how to protect themselves. My name is Jayson DiMaria, and I'm an immigration attorney who's been helping defend people for over 20 years. I've seen ICE raids, and I've watched good people make mistakes that cost them everything simply because they don't know their rights. What I'm about to share with you isn't just legal advice, it's survival information. Because in 2025, ICE enforcement is more aggressive than I've seen in 20 years, which is why in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you exactly what to say, what not to say, and the one phrase that could keep your family together, even if ICE is banging on your door right now. The first thing you should never do is just open your door. Let me tell you about one of my clients, Maria, who did open the door. ICE came to her apartment at 6 a.m. She was scared, so she opened the door and she actually let them in. She thought she had to cooperate. That was her first mistake. Once ICE was inside her home, they arrested not just her, but also her husband, who was in the kitchen making coffee. Her husband had been in the United States for the last 15 years and had a pending application for legal status. But because Maria let ICE into her home, they lost their right to privacy and both of them were detained. If Maria had known her rights, this story would have ended very differently, because there's one simple phrase that could have saved Maria's entire family. But most people don't know it, and ICE is counting on that. The most important thing you need to understand is this: ICE cannot just enter your home without a warrant signed by a judge. Not a warrant signed by ICE, not an administrative warrant, a warrant signed by a federal judge. If ICE comes to your door, you do not just have to open it. You do not have to let them in. You do not have to answer their question. Here's exactly what you should say: I do not consent to your entry. I am exercising my right to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. That's it. Don't say anything else. Don't explain where you're from. Don't show them your documents. Don't try to prove you belong here. Just repeat those words. But what if they claim to have a warrant? What if they say they'll break down your door? There's a specific way to handle this that most people get wrong. If ICE claims they have a warrant, here's what you need to do. Do not open the door. Instead, ask them to just slide it under the door or hold it up to a window where you could see it. You need to look for specific things on that warrant. First, is it signed by a federal judge? If it's just signed by ICE officers or administrative officials, it's not a real warrant and they can't just enter your home. Second, does the warrant have your correct name and address? If the warrant is for John Smith, but your name is Juan Sanchez, that warrant is not valid for you. Third, is it a search warrant or an arrest warrant? An arrest warrant only allows them to arrest a specific person named. It doesn't give them the right to search your home or arrest anyone else. I had a client where ICE came with an arrest warrant for his roommate. My client opened the door to tell them his roommate wasn't home. ICE pushed past him, searched the apartment, and arrested my client even though the warrant wasn't for him. Don't make this mistake. But what do you do if they do have a valid warrant? What if a federal judge really did sign an order allowing them to enter your home? Even if ICE has a valid warrant, you still have right. You still have a right to remain silent. You still have the right to a lawyer. You do not have to answer their questions about your immigration status, where you were born, or how you entered the country. Here's what you should do. Clearly state, I am exercising my right to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. Then stay silent. Don't try to explain your situation. Don't show them your documents. Don't answer all these questions. You need to do this because anything you say can and will be used against you during your immigration court proceeding. I've seen people talk themselves into deportation by trying to be helpful or actually by trying to prove they belong here. But what about your family members who are in the house? What if your children are U.S. citizens? What if your spouse has legal status? There's a crucial mistake that families make that puts everyone at risk. If there are other people in your home when ICE arrives, they also have the right to remain silent. They do not have to answer questions about you or anyone else. They do not have to show their documents unless ICE has a warrant specifically for them. This is critical. Even if your children are U.S. citizens, they should not answer questions about you. Even if your spouse has a green card, they should not provide information about your immigration status. I've seen cases where a U.S. citizen child tried to help their parent by explaining the family situation to ICE. That child's statements were later used as evidence against the parent in immigration court. Everyone in the house should say the same thing. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. Now, what if ICE doesn't come to your home? What if they approach you on the street at work, or in your car. The rules change, and most people don't know how to protect themselves in these situations. If you want to protect you and your family from ICE, I could help you understand what the best move for you is and make sure you are prepared for any situation. So call my office right now at 973-934-5854 for a consultation, where I will help you protect yourself from being deported and help keep you with your family together. Now let's get right back to the video. If ICE approaches you in public, you're in a much more vulnerable position than you would be if you were in your home, but you still actually have rights, and knowing them could be the difference between going home to your family or spending months in detention. First off, stay calm. Don't run. Running makes you look guilty, and it actually gives ICE a reason to chase you down. Don't reach for anything in your pockets. Keep your hands visible. Ask this question: am I free to leave? If they say yes, calmly walk away. Don't run. Just walk calmly. If they say no, then you're being detained. At that point, clearly state, I am exercising my right to remain silent. I want to speak to a lawyer. Do not answer questions about where you were born, what country you're from, or how you entered the United States. Do not show them the documents from your home country. Do not try to prove that you have a right to be here. But here's something that surprises most people. Even if you're arrested by ICE, the fight isn't over. There are still things you can do to protect yourself, but you have to act fast. If you're arrested by ICE, you have the right to make a phone call. Use it wisely. Don't call your family first, call a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer's number, call the number I'm going to give you at the end of the video, the one I just gave you before. When you're in ICE custody, do not sign anything without talking to a lawyer first. ICE will try to get you to sign papers that waive your right to a hearing sometime. They'll tell you that it's faster if you just sign, that you could come back legally later. It's almost always a lie. Once you sign the papers, you're giving up your right to fight your case. You're agreeing to be deported, so don't do that. And here's something that could save your case. There are specific things you should never say to ICE, even if they seem harmless. But there's also one thing you should always ask for that most people forget about. Never tell ICE that you're afraid to return to your home country unless you're speaking to a lawyer first. This might sound backwards, but here's why. If you express a fear of returning home, ICE is supposed to refer you for a credible fear interview for asylum. But if you say it wrong or the wrong time, they might not do the referral properly. Always ask for a credible fear interview if you have any fear of returning to your home country. This is your right, and it could be your path to staying in the United States legally. Also, if you have any medical conditions, tell the ICE officers immediately. If you take medication, you tell them what medication you need. ICE detention facilities have a responsibility to provide medical care, but they can't help you if they don't know you actually need help. But the most important thing is, don't wait until ICE is at your door to prepare. There are things you could do to right now protect yourself and your family. First, have a plan. Make sure your family knows what to do if ICE comes to your home. Practice what to say. Make sure everyone knows their rights. Second, have important phone numbers written down and easily accessible. Have a lawyer's number. Have the number for a trusted friend or family member who can help. Third, know your options. You might be eligible for a relief that you don't know about. You might qualify for a U visa, VAWA protection, asylum, or other forms of relief. Listen, I've been doing this work for 20 years, and I've never seen enforcement this aggressive. But I've also never seen more opportunities for people to get their legal status if they know how to navigate the system correctly. And now that you know how to protect yourself when ICE agents show up, there's a major legal development that actually happened with Trump's massive deportation plan that could completely change what ICE can and can't do. And most people have no idea how this affects them or their families. So check out this video where I break down exactly what this court ruling means for you and your family's safety, because understanding these changes could be the difference between staying protected and being caught off guard when ICE comes to your neighborhood.